I get all these Google alerts, people texting me, people calling me, saying that they're seeing me on Daily Mail, New York Post, these different websites. This one's just a lie. Conservative stars now regret leaving California to follow Joe Rogan to Texas.
She wants to run for some type of like political seat. It couldn't be that she's leaving Texas because it's like pretty much illegal to be transgender in the state of Texas.
This is honestly so embarrassing for her.
Do you think she can actually make a difference? Do you support Blaire in her fight to reclaim California?
Okay, welcome back to my channel. So I am in a hotel room in Las Vegas and I'm supposed to be on vacation. I'm supposed to be relaxing. At least that was my promise to myself. And I never go on vacation. So this was the one time, of course, I have to hop on here and address stuff. So as soon as I landed and was trying to zen out, I get all these Google alerts, people texting me, people calling me, saying that they're seeing me on Daily Mail, New York Post, these different websites.
Conservative transgender influencer Blaire White is moving back to California from Texas. Do you think she can actually make a difference? Do you support Blaire in her fight to reclaim California?
It's articles about me moving back to California. Now, I only mentioned this in a longer Q&A video on my second channel, which you should also subscribe to. And I didn't think it would be such a thing, but apparently it is. And unfortunately, whenever we're dealing with the corporate media, it's a story that suits the corporate media. And so I just wanted to correct some lies, some misinterpretations, intentional and otherwise, of what's going on here. This one's just a lie. Conservative stars now regret leaving California to follow Joe Rogan to Texas. It's no Los Angeles. No, it's no Los Angeles. And that's the other thing, people saying I'm moving back to LA. And I'm not moving back to Los Angeles, just California. I get that it's like, I'm maybe nitpicking, it's media, it's whatever, but it's like, I didn't follow Joe Rogan when deciding where I wanted to live. If you follow me, you know that I actually have political aspirations beyond just running my mouth on camera here. I actually want to be part of the solution and run for office and fix my home state. That's the other thing, I'm from there, so I feel like basically it's trying to be spun as I'm either switching political, sides or teams or whatever tribal BS you want to, call it, that I'm somehow admitting that blue states are better. It's clearly like a media narrative trying to play out like, see, the conservatives all regret their vote. They regret living in red states. No, not at all, actually. Quite the opposite. I'm actually such a Republican that I'm moving back to my home state to fix it as a Republican and run for office eventually, right? And that's the other thing that's making it seem like this is happening this week. It's happening soon, but this is definitely earlier than I would have, I don't even live there yet. I'm in the process. And by the way, I just have to say how disappointing it is. I realized this just before I started filming, that just days ago, I interviewed an Epstein survivor, and there was no mainstream coverage of that, no articles written up, not even right-wing media. You know what I mean? Not even like nobody's Breitbart, nobody's Newsmax, like not even the ones that maybe would run that. And so that's how even the right is extremely disappointing with this stuff. You would think that in a world that makes any sense, the story would be that I interviewed an Epstein survivor this week, right? Like two things happened this week in Blaire White world. One, I mentioned offhand on my podcast that I'm moving to California. And two, I interviewed a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein who was paid $2 million to be quiet, but chose to speak out on my channel. So just have to put that out there, that the media is disgusting. And I know it's just about making money, right? And I get that, and they can make money off of me, but I'm gonna make some money off of this as well. So here's an ad. So do you ever catch yourself reaching for something out of pure habit, whether to soothe your anxiety, whether you're just bored or on autopilot in general? Yeah, same. It's a very human thing. I get it. And that is why I tried Fume. Today's video is sponsored by Fume, and no, it's not a vape, and no, it's not nicotine, and it's not trying to be. Fume is a natural flavored air inhaler, and it's designed to help you replace habits, not feed them. No smoke, no vapor, no nicotine, just air infused with essential oils. And it has this really cool fidget-friendly design with magnetic parts. Here's a clip from my other video to show you what it looks like. It's also amazing for fidgeting, as you can see. It's super satisfying to use. And the flavors are actually so good. My current favorite is the spearmint ice, but there's a bunch of options for you. Over 500,000 people have already added Fume to their routine. And it's super easy to see why. It's simple, it's effective, and it's really helping people replace their habits. It doesn't come with any of the baggage of smoking or vaping, which is great. Use my code BlaireWhite at tryfume.com/BlaireWhite, and you'll get a free Fume topper with your journey pack. So this is your sign. Let's kick those habits. gracefully. Thank you so much to Fume for sponsoring this video, and on to the rest of the video. So I'm getting all these comments from people saying, you're just trying to escape the bad policies in Texas and you're trying to, escape the consequences of your actions. First of all, if we want to talk about escape, when I moved to Texas, it was literally the movie Escape from LA. It was literally in the middle of lockdowns, in the middle of draconian, tyrannical, disgusting, filthy Democrat policies. That were the reason I moved. And so the only thing I've ever ran from is a blue state. But see, that's like the thing. I don't want to be someone who runs from my problems forever. I don't want to be hopping from state to state. That's my home state. It's where I was born. And I want to go try to help California become a better state. It's a fallen state. It is a broken state. Even people who live there acknowledge that. You can't build a house. All your money gets taken by tax. There's homeless in every major city to the proportion that is so intentional, which is scary. And I don't like that. I don't like seeing my home in ruins. And then I'm getting comments from people saying, you're just trying to keep your hormones because Texas apparently in people's minds, this is not reality. It's illegal to be trans. I got that comment from a bunch of people. This is the problem. People that live in blue states are so incredibly propagandized about what red states really are. And so they really believe that. It's annoying because it's on both sides. It's liberals saying, look, she's escaping the consequences of her vote. She regrets being a Republican, blah, blah, blah. Retarded. And then you have people on the right saying, see, she was never a real Republican, or he was never a real Republican because he's moving back to California. And it's like, this mentality that some Republicans have of like, we should let California and New York burn and fall off the map. Yeah, that's a bit satanic to me. That's a bit dark, right? That's still America. There are tens of millions of Americans in both of those states, and they matter, and they're beautiful, and they deserve to be protected and rescued. And I don't think California is so far gone. I think they've been inching towards going red for a while, and I would like to be a part of that. But of course, as much as I can talk about how standard Democrats and Republicans are attacking me over moving, which is demented, no hate amounts to the hate from the trans community. So let's watch their reaction to this.
I actually find it to be like pure comedy that Blaire White is moving back to California. And she's claiming that it's because she wants to take her advocacy back to LA, and eventually she wants to run for some type of like political seat, which I don't know what she would do because she's not even that smart. But anyways, it couldn't be that she's leaving Texas because it's like pretty much illegal to be transgender in the state of Texas.
Brilliant, calling anybody else less than smart when you think it's illegal to be transgender in Texas, right? It's this type of like hyperbolic, retarded talk about what's really going on with trans people and in red states that's so delusional. If anything, I would consider y'all, if I do say so myself, I would consider y'all lucky and blessed to have me back. Lucky and blessed to have me back. And for a community that talks about, we have no seat at the table. When will we get a seat at the table? When will we be heard? Listen to trans voices. You would think that a community that's so desperate for a seat at the table would be like, okay, well, that's probably better overall for our community if there's like people in office from every direction that somewhat represent. But of course, it has to be some sort of delusional, delusion.
This is honestly so embarrassing for her after years of posting hard far-right conservatism ideology and swearing up and down that she voted for Trump, that she stands behind Trump, stands behind his beliefs, slandering her own community left and right, clarifying that she does not believe trans women are trans women. They're all men. They're all mentally ill, even though she is a trans woman, that it's a trauma response, all these different kinds of things. After years of spouting all this hate towards her own community and living for a community that was never going to tolerate her or accept her, she has, and after voting for Trump himself this year and seeing how that is all played out in her face, she is now turning the tables and trying to act like, oh, I'm not staying here, I'm not staying in Texas anymore.
Y'all just love to say anything while saying nothing at the same time. That was like just long-winded for nothing. I guess I'm struggling to even respond to that because what was the point? First of all, you can be like a Republican living in a blue state and a Democrat living in a red state. Like that's like a thing. I'm surrounded by libs in Texas. They're everywhere. It's like, it's to pretend as if it's some sort of like hypocritical state of being to live in a place that doesn't perfectly reflect your political values, as if it's not. I don't know. When I look at people, this is just me. This is how I feel about things. I actually look at, people that try to create the change in the world that they want to see. I see that as like something commendable, even if I don't necessarily agree with it, right? Like, I think that it's probably for the best if you live in a state that you disagree with the policies and you're there to try to change them. And again, for anyone to pretend as if there's any sort of like reality in which people in California, even Democrats lately, are happy with it, is just delusional. I'm just wondering what script has been flipped, because that's what you guys keep saying. But I'd be saying that if y'all saw me like register as a Democrat or something. I would be, if I suddenly came out and said trans women are women, I'd be like, that's a flipped script, right? But for me, I'm like, no, I hold the same beliefs I have, and I'm going to take them to a place where I can actually affect change. Like, maybe that's just what's scary for you guys. You're very, very concerned that I'm coming. I would be too. And on a larger note, I think all of us are very unhappy right now with this whole Republican Democrat paradigm. I think all of us are very unhappy with the fact that you really can't vote your way out of so many of the things that affect all of us. The fact that we have every president from every side who's covered up for Epstein here, it shows you like, we need a new guard of people. We need a new wave of people in office that actually give a shit about goodness, about truth, about children. God forbid. God forbid somebody comes into, power in one of the two major parties that actually is against child sex trafficking across the board. I would love to represent that in office. And I'm just also at an age, I'm 31. It's like, you don't wait around for the world to change to the way you want it to be. You don't wait around to hopefully see policy that helps people around you. And if anything, if I'm taking any L's, I am taking certain L's by going back to California. They're definitely going to take a hell of a lot more of my money, right? I'm going to get much poorer moving to California. I'm going to be at the risk of the government telling me, hey, you can't leave your house for 2.5 years because of a virus with a 99.7% survival rate, right? I'm definitely at risk of them just wanting to shut the beaches down and put a gun in my face about it, right? Definitely the crime, definitely the looting, right? Definitely all the illegal immigration issues. I'm definitely taking a few L's going back, but really not for the reason you delusional people are saying. And don't even get me started on my gun collection, for which that's going to be 2/3 of that is going to be wiped out just having to sell it because the gun laws suck in California. So God forbid a bitch wants to go and help out the gun laws too, right? Like, it is what it is. For any other outlet that wants to make some story about me moving back and make it about Joe Rogan or make it about right versus left or make it about trans anything, please look at my last video on my YouTube channel and write a story about that. That's the story. The story isn't Blaire White is moving to Texas. It's Blaire White this week interviewed a survivor of Epstein who was paid out $2 million to be silent, but she's talking on Blaire White's channel. See, that's the story. I am going to get back to my work vacation now because I'm actually doing a podcast, doing Sean Kelly's podcast. I did the Hodge twins out here. So stay tuned for those. Thank you so much to Fume for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Check them out in the pinned comment or the description. I love you guys. Subscribe to this channel as well as my podcast channel. Follow me on X, Instagram, TikTok, all of the above, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.